The Mango After Hours podcast is only for general information, personal use, and entertainment purposes. We do not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of any statements made by guests. The views expressed by guests are their own and may not reflect those of the producers, sponsors, or the host. Nothing shared should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. Always consult qualified professionals before making decisions based on this content. Mention of specific brands or products does not imply endorsement. All trademarks are property of their respective owners. Now, sit the fuck down and enjoy the show.
All right, what's up, people, and welcome to the Mango After Hours show. We had a special guest today, almost impromptu podcast, but we kind of scheduled this a little bit. So before we get started, let's give thanks to our sponsors. Trollmaster, best known controller in the world, bar none. Thinker LED, best LED lights in the market. If you're growing cannabis, you're not using Thinker LED, you're dropping the ball. Mango juice, if you're not juicing, you're losing. And lastly, but not least, Mango Tech Store for giving us this great space to do a podcast. And today we like to bring in Ronin Seeds, better known as West Coast Connoisseurs, and Jake. I've known this guy for a while, but I didn't know who the fuck Ronin Seeds was. What's up, Jake?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Well, glad to have you on, and especially now that this whole Toad thing has been going on. You know, it's kind of interesting that you were the guy that was behind Ronin, and I didn't know, and I was arguing with people online on my page, and I don't know who the fuck this guy Ronin is, and then you had your Ronin minions sticking up for you.
We have a cult following.
And, you know, Ronin this, Ronin that. I don't know who the fuck Ronin is, but, you know, long and behold, we've known each other for a while.
Definitely. I've been here before, for sure.
You've been here before. You've been in the facility. I've been to Oklahoma to a space that you were growing, or you were like the guy over there with the seeds with Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was all. I mean, that was a whole adventure in its own. But yeah, I mean, we've been growing and breeding. You know, my partner in Ronin has had some of the cuts we've used for 20 years, and
fix it. Yeah, there we go a little bit.
There.
Yeah.
Fine. For 20 years, and you know, West Coast Connoisseur was a collective of exotic genetics. You know, that's a very overused phrase nowadays. But it was a collection of exotic genetics that I was bringing multiple breeders together in Oklahoma, trying to orchestrate collabs and different breeding projects so that we could have our own elite arsenal to select and grow from, where we gave all the breeders royalties, and so we had collected a ton of genetics under one roof. At some point, we started, you know, basically breeding ourselves back in 2016, 17, something like that. And I mean, the story of Toad Venom actually way predates COVID.
Okay.
If we were going to talk all the way back to, I think we should start with like a basic foundation of like what is Toad Venom, because there are misconceptions about it.
Before we even get to that, how about if you give us a backstory on you? You know, let's figure out where, you know, how, you know, where you're a U.S. citizen, or you're born in the United States. You know, how did you get into whatever you did as a young man, and then how did you make the transition into cannabis?
Okay, so for me, I grew up in a small town outside of Seattle, actually Bainbridge Island. It's, you know, the island's west of Seattle, basically. When I grew up there was only 20,000 people. Very environmentally tuned community. It's cold and wet. It rains 200 days a year.
It's close to Kaya?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Kaya Seeds?
Kaya Seeds, yeah.
Okay. I've been out to his island. I've been out to his place years ago. I went and visited his house.
Yes, definitely.
And it was pretty cool. We took a ferry out there.
Exactly. Most of the community takes a ferry to Seattle to work every day.
Okay.
It's about an hour-long ferry ride.
Mm-hmm.
I went to high school there, I first got in trouble growing and selling in probably 2008. I tried to grow weed outside on Bainbridge, and everything went wrong. I didn't know what I was doing, and not knowing what I knew about photo periods and everything, of course it made sense everything was fucked up. You know, it's light till 11:30 at night in the summer. You know, the sun doesn't set till 11:45, 11:30.
Yes.
So yeah, all your weed looks crazy. It's trashed and it's way too humid.
So you were growing outside?
I tried.
Okay.
I didn't understand what I was doing, and my brother actually ends up being the one who snitches on me.
Is he older or younger?
I'm a triplet.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So there's 3 of me. Yeah, and
What do they do right now?
they all work professional jobs.
So you're the black sheep.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, doctors, attorneys, professionals, and then there's me.
There's you. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. All
I'm
right.
definitely the black sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime basically around 2010, 2011, I moved to California. I was, at the time, I was working in venture capital, and I had built a solar-powered cooler to move vaccines around Africa. So I'd spent some time down there trying to build this cooler. Long story short, the project ran out of money.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 10 years too early. COVID would have been really nice for that. But I was 10 years too early, and one of the one of the guys funding it actually had a venture capital company in Los Angeles. And he said, hey, how about you come work for me? I could use your set of skills. And that was probably like 2012, 2013. And he then, cannabis was really starting to crack off. And it was, if you were in that 2008 to 12 zone, now here came the investors. Here came the first wave of money. These guys were doing, military security contracts and stuff like they had real money. And they came to me, and I was doing some of their businesses, and then they started investing in all these nurseries. And they came to me and were like, hey, you're young, you already like weed. They knew all these things. They were like, do you want to oversee these nurseries and websites and clone sales we're investing in? And I said, sure, of course. And so I ran clone sales basically all over Southern California for... there was months I was going up to the cookies greenhouses in Los Alamos. I was backing up the U-Haul. We were selling a lot of clones.
Okay.
And, just making 25 cents, 50 cents a clone, maybe, and selling volume. There was nothing exclusive about what I was doing at the time. Strains, like, let's talk what I was selling at the time. Black Domina, Black Lime Reserve.
I remember that one.
Yeah. What was around in that time? Like the pomelo cookies had just showed up. Banana Kush. Man, those were things. A Fire OG.
I remember that one too. That was a hot one. Yep. That was a hot one for sure.
I probably sold more Fire OG clones of anything in my entire life. And that whole venture eventually slowly fades, and we go our own ways. But when that gave me all the the groundwork and the skills to really push toward what I wanted to do. And at that time, the whole West Coast connoisseur mantra was I was, finding the best from the whole West Coast. I had people up in Seattle, I had people in Oregon, and California now, and Southern California was my last stepping stone to building this menu of exotics that other people just didn't really have access to. And my next level was going to the breeders. So we ended up starting to go to breeders, and that's where probably about 2014 or 15, I start doing basically what West Coast Connoisseur locks into is these breeder clone drops. Mm-hmm. If you remember...
How'd you meet the breeders? Because obviously, it's kind of hard. There's little communities and there's little circles and little cliques. And it's like, if you're not one of the boys in the clique, it's, they're not going to share anything with you. So I'm interested in how were you able to break in? Because you were from Seattle. You went down to SoCal.
Yeah.
A tight-knit area per se. It's so cliquey. How were you able to breach the walls and to get into with the breeders?
Well, so the first was just classic networking, right?
Okay.
Everyone is showing up to these shows. I'm showing up to these shows. Try to illustrate some kind of value to these people, whether it's selling their flower, whatever it is. Over the years, I got a reputation for selling stuff at a much higher price than other people, and I was always giving the load to the farmer. Mm-hmm. So in the days of the 2s, when I was getting 3, I was giving the farmer more than 2.
Okay.
So
that opens doors.
exactly.
That opens doors all the time, baby.
Exactly.
Show me the money.
Yeah, and so that was, I had a guy I was working with, an older head at the time, who I talk to every once in a while still nowadays. He was like, bro, you get in every grow. And I'll tell you something that I had as a hack for years. I wore flip-flops everywhere. And a lot of people thought it was kind of a joke, but one of the older gentlemen I worked with said, hey, you should keep doing that because I'm not afraid that you're going to rob me when you're in flip-flops.
And you know what? I can see it. I can fucking see it. Everybody's feeling very relaxed.
Everyone's feeling very relaxed.
Like, this dude doesn't have running sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't going to rob me. You know what? It makes fucking sense.
And so I embodied that, right? I showed up everywhere in slides, even if it were muddy, People were like, who the fuck is this guy jumping out in slides in the mud? Like, I grew up in Seattle, so it really don't matter to me.
Right.
Nothing here is going to faze me weather-wise. And so, I started selling all these higher-priced units that opened a lot of doors quickly, I was selling a lot of work out of the North Coast at the time, Central North Coast, if you want to call it that. And that cultivator ends up, I don't remember if they were winning or came in second in Ego Clash. And that was probably 2016. And actually, the donkey butter cut that's used in this pollination is the one that placed at Ego Clash. So I was always having access to these genetics. And then it became the network of, hey, I had the old philosophy of trading the penny or the paperclip into the home. That's where I had started. I started with Fire OG and Black Lime Reserve and had traded my arsenal into Donkey Butter and Cushman's and all the new modern elites,
The Black Lime Reserve, isn't that an aficionado?
Yeah, it was an old aficionado. And I wasn't even into popping seeds back then as much as it was like I barely understood what a pheno hunt was. Okay. I was getting clones of Black Domino 1, 3, and 11. And I was like, I didn't understand the difference at that point.
The numbers, yeah.
Yeah, the numbers.
Click,
yeah.
Okay.
And that doesn't click to me until maybe like 2013 or 14, right? Where we're like, okay, we have all these really individual, for me who's a triplet, I'm 3 individuals who came from the same genetic parent.
Correct.
So there's so many parallels between my life and pheno hunting because there's so many, hey, this sister is good or this one's good. And the way those genetics play down the line, I use some of those analogies for people all the time. I'm better than my brother at some things and he's better than me at some things.
Correct.
We, again, both came from the same parents. He's taller than me.
That's how I explain actually pheno hunting to people. It's like, if a guy and a girl, mated, fucked, whatever, got pregnant 100 times, you're going to have the tall one, the short one, the fat one, the skinny one, the smart one, the one that goes to freaking
and one is
jail.
better than the other.
Correct. In one way or another. There might be, one that is short and stocky, the other one's a tall and slim, the good-looking one, the ugly one, but, he's the strong, the bad one, and you just got to pick out what trait you're looking for what you're looking to breed or what you're looking to get. It's kind of the same thing for plants. It's kind of what I
100%. For one of my dads, I never got the chance to work with him when cannabis went legal in Washington in 2013, maybe.
Was it that fucking early?
Yeah.
Was it that early in
maybe 14?
Wow, it's been a long time.
I know.
My God. In Washington was number 1, right?
No, Colorado was
number 1, then Washington, then Oregon.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Someone could fact check us, but
okay.
Washington had a really slow rollout, and then in, I want to say about 2017 or 2018, they tried to loosen the regs, and anybody who was zoned for agriculture then could get a cannabis license. And so even if people weren't going to get that license, they needed environmental impact statements, they needed all of these things, and so my dad's business went crazy just from all these people just wanting to file environmental impact statements in the case that, and probably 95% of these places never even did anything with that, but he was in the regulatory side of things, and we had one case that I almost got to be an expert witness in, but it never ended up going to trial. So come from a family that understands ag and timescales and stuff like that. So it really started all to weave together, getting these high prices, getting the unique genetics, and then going to the next level of creating these collaborative efforts where, you know, if you've ever been to a place where people select apples or pears, it's such a long process. You know, they have fields and fields of individual pheno hunt seed just like we do, and it takes 5 years, 7 years for their stuff to fruit. So we in the weed industry are at a maximum time scale to them. So I try to always look to them for patterns.
I got you.
Pattern recognition is very important. And so look at their patterns of saturation, look at their patterns of pheno hunting and development. There was a squeezed lemon, I don't know if you saw it this year, that was very popular on social media.
Lemon's coming back, dude. The lemons are coming back.
I mean like a real fruit, though.
Okay, I got you.
It was a real fruit, like a squeezed lemon. They had all this Instagram press, all this marketing, and so I went and got some of them, and they were terrible.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
they marketed them as like the sweet lemon that you could eat, like almost like a mandarin or something like that, and it was just a lemon. It was just a lemon with a soft skin.
It was just, the soft skin. I just heard that the other day. The funny that you say that, and I did touch it, and it wasn't like rough.
Yeah,
it was really
eat the skin.
Interesting. Okay,
it's not that appealing, but this is literally what cannabis has turned into. The same thing. They pheno hunted that lemon. They got to that selection. They marketed that selection, and we are doing the exact same things.
Okay. Back to what I was trying to say. I don't know if you've seen this little. I don't know. I get a lot of DMs lately. I've seen a lot of people that are the lemon flavors coming. Seems like it's coming back in action. You know, I got a couple guys that been pheno hunting a lot of lemons, and we just did a mango neon mango hunt. And the guys are here in the back over here, and the lemon terps seem like they're hot nowadays. What's up, guys? It's Mango here, and we're in the center of the Mango Tech showroom. When you say Troll Master, you think controllers. When you say Thinker LED, you think lighting. I'm here to tell you that Troll Master and Thinker are a whole cultivation system. Today, we're going to touch on ICL 300s and the Aero fans. There is no better combination in the market. ICL 300s are an inner canopy light that you set inside the canopy, and no, they're not 300 watts like some people may think. They're still 120 watts, but the 300 comes because they shine in 300 degrees. The ICL 150, that's up and coming here shortly, shines at 150 degrees because of its reverse V or A-frame style fixture. The 120 that's coming out is just like all the other regular ICLs or under canopy lights in the market. The ICL 300 and the ICL 150 are 4-spectrum tunable channel lights. That means you can play with each spectrum up and down to figure out what your strain likes best. All right, behind me, you see a single tier and a double tier. On the single tier, we have the ICL 300s on some PVC stands and some Thinker LED stands that bring the inner canopy light into the canopy, so the whole canopy gets lit up adaxially and abaxially, not just like an under canopy light, abaxially. All right, let's focus on the ICL 300 and the ICL 150. These are the Formula One, the Bugatti, the Ferrari of all inner canopy lights. Nothing comes even close to what these pair can do. Why? Because they're 4-channel spectrum tunable lights. You can tune your whites, your deep reds, your far reds, and your UV to a recipe that suits your plants. You guys remember at the beginning when I said that Troll Master and Thinker LED are a cultivation system, not just a lighting and controller company. And this is exactly what I was talking about. The ICLs are now set on a unistrut rail system that you'll never have to waste any time putting and taking off any stands. The rail will also double as a mount for your new Troll Master Aero fans to deliver freshly climate-controlled, CO2-enriched air into your canopy. Nothing else comes close. Check it out. If you're interested in this system, hit the link below, www.mangotech.store. We got you. From A to Z, one-stop shop. Let's go.
They definitely are. We just hunted a lemon tree BX that has become my partner in Ronin Canopy Builders. He is the driver of our lemon terps. He can pick out every nuance in them, everything. And I'm not going to lie, when we first selected this Lemon Tree BX, I was a little bit skeptical, and people have been blown away by it. It's like, grow more lemon tree, grow more lemon tree, grow more lemon tree.
Lemon terps are coming back. I'm telling you. You heard it here first. Lemon terps are coming back.
Look,
a lot of people
so
talking about the lemons.
Explosive compared to some of these doled out gelatos and doled out candies. If you're willing to deal with these different terpenes, basically from what you're used to, the lemon is it's like, and especially in the legal market, man, where everyone's kind of selling these half flat gelatos, half flat Z's. Man, imagine being a customer who doesn't know any difference. You go down the line, the lemon is just going to be screaming comparatively to a lot of these things. And you know, at that level, the nose is, and yeah, the nose is just so prominent, and it's fun. A lot of lemon cuts taste really good too.
They do. It's like a great taste when
Great taste.
when
Very
it hits the mouth.
refreshing.
Yes, exactly. You know.
Summer smoke.
Yes. It's like
That's what they
lemonade,
call it.
baby. It's like lemonade. It's kind of like almost like a Moscow Mule, like a lemonade, like a tart lemonade.
Yeah.
So I forgot how I met you. How did I meet you?
Met through a guy named Jeremy.
Jeremy, Oklahoma grower. Yeah, interesting cat. And we were discussing a little bit of what's going on, and you know, I asked you, hey, what happened to that dude and in Jeremy, and then you were telling me that crazy story. I mean, you know, if you feel comfortable talking about it, let's just. You know.
Well, yeah. Let's do the safe cliff notes as we.
Okay,
call
I got you.
it, right.
So Jeremy had a grow in Oklahoma. You know, when Oklahoma was popping.
Yep, Oklahoma was popping. We started the grow. Probably my favorite story that I could tell from this whole instance is Oklahoma just goes legal, and we're wrapping up a grow in Colorado, and he was very intent on being the first people flowering in the Oklahoma market. And so we took teens, put them in the U-Haul, and drove them down. So the first day that they granted flowering of the facilities, that we weren't cutting clones. We were ready to go.
Okay. How'd you meet Jeremy?
You know, it's something that I've tried to figure out over the years. You know, sometimes these relationships you can't remember, right?
Okay.
But basically, he was buying work off of me.
Okay, I got you.
He was buying clones. He was buying, and honestly, leads to one of the stories that another story I could tell is that before we were developed the ways to get clones out the way we needed to, we were sending them through the post service.
Okay.
And, you know, we got it probably a little too ballsy one day and, you know, put all of our names on the stuff because we're like, it's a legal business, woo, woo, woo. And the post office calls me and goes, hey, did you send something to Oklahoma? And you're like, yeah, why? And they're like, well, you got 350 clones that are melting here if your buddy doesn't come pick them up.
Because the heat.
Because the heat, right? Oklahoma, very hot. And we didn't know if it was a trap or not.
Okay.
Right? Like, so we sit there basically for hours trying to figure out, should someone go pick this up? Should we send someone else to pick this up? Whatever it is. Finally, we just decide we're going to go get them. And it was like the breath of a new era, right? Because the post office gave us these clones and we went and planted them in the facility.
Freaking insane.
Insane.
Okay. So, and I remember that facility at that time, you know, I didn't have my facility, and then I was doing the Trollmaster thing, the LED thing, and then they had this Patterson fans that McDermott controls.
We did McDermott and Rhythm in there.
Okay, Rhythm, and I remember that because Mike McCoy.
Yep.
You know, had a
shout out Mike McCoy.
Mike McCoy, shout out. And because he had a relationship with him, so Rhythm was in there. McDermott controlled the fans and some other stuff in there, and it was pretty cool. So I flew out to Oklahoma.
Yep.
I toured the facility. I definitely took pictures of the BFDs and then the Patterson fans because I brought that information back to Trollmaster. Says we got to do this, we got to do that, and here's how we're going to do it. And then that's when we started, you know, developing, you know, somewhat of a fan line, or you know. It was the beginning of Trollmaster having a fan line.
And Mike McCoy is the one who needs credit for that, because when I was going up and down the West Coast, that was one of my stops, was Mike. He is a person who hugely needs credit for our growing success, our careers. And me personally, he gave me a ton of opportunities. So I'm always thankful for that. He taught me how to cut a clone.
Sick. Okay. And then I think that relationship between Mike McCoy and Jeremy kind of soured.
Yeah. I mean, but that was just going to become par for the course for everyone, right?
Right, I got you.
You know, like because we're going to be doing clone stuff, like that relationship was so clearly soured. I am so big, bro. If someone gives me a clone, I will give it back to you. That's like the rule of thumb. You gave it to me. Mm-hmm. For some reason, you lose your facility, you get raided, whatever. I will give this back to you.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Mike had something happen to him.
Okay.
He asked me for some stuff back. Mm-hmm. I went back to Jeremy, and Jeremy said, "Don't give it to him. We're now the only people with it."
Oh, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's not kind of not right. You know, because you know when you're sharing the clone, I got you in a way. And,
yeah.
And that's to me. That's
so if someone gave it to me, that's fucked up.
Yes, that's fucked up. Okay.
And and honestly, if anyone took the high road that day, man, Mike McCoy deserves a gold star. Mm-hmm. You know, so I did go around and give it back to him.
Okay, cool.
Because
that was the right
my
thing
moral compass was not going to allow someone who had given as much to me to Mike to lose out on this situation.
I gotcha, understood. Yeah. And then obviously I heard that I guess Jeremy that grow fell apart.
Yeah, I mean that's basically where the legend of frog poison begins. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Interested. Okay.
So
let's hear how it started there.
Yeah. So I mean, so that you know basically. We get, Oklahoma leads to one of the proudest moments of my life and one of the biggest defeats.
Okay.
And I think as an entrepreneur and as a grower, these things are really important, and I'm so glad that I learned these things young. I was 28, 29 when I went through this, you know. And we get raided. The feds, about 6 months later, they drop the case. We had retained all the assets, all the bank accounts, all the buildings, everything. And you know how rare it is for a Fed case to get dropped. Mm-hmm. To stand in through that and be there for all the charges being dropped as we protected all those assets of this community was so important to me.
And this was at that facility that I went to?
Yeah.
Okay, after I visited. After I visited, okay, I got raided. I kind of vaguely remember some of the stories.
Yeah, because we basically got raided January 5th, 21.
Okay.
So.
And what led to that raid?
Illegal guns. And even, I mean, basically, if we're going to boil it down, it's such a crazy story because we have an employee who has a stalker. The stalker is sending Jeremy and I messages, "You've got to fire this employee." The stalker figures out who Jeremy is, and they send emails to the police that say, "If you don't wipe out my record, I'm going to shoot up the police station, you bitch-ass pigs."
Okay, and I think I remember Jeremy told me some of that about this story.
Yes.
And then they somehow pinned it to his email or something.
So the email comes from a... Right, yeah, exactly. The email comes from an erroneous email that's like Jeremy, I can't remember, it was so obviously not him, that the prosecutor for the Northern District of Oklahoma, when the feds are arraigning Jeremy, sits next to me and says, "Jeremy is one of the most well-calculated, defiant criminals I've tried to catch in my life. I don't believe he sent these emails."
Interested. And I think Jeremy told me this story.
Yes.
He did say he didn't send it. You know, he stood by it.
Not send
and
it.
The prosecutor believed that he did, and it was kind of a weird situation, and that's why they dropped the case.
And that's part of the reason that I stayed.
Okay.
It's because that prosecutor gave me the confidence that this was not just going to be railroaded into a for sure defeat, basically.
Interesting. Okay.
Because you know when they come with money.
Yes. The feds.
So if they're going to open that indictment, they're going to spend a lot of money to do it.
Right, and then the feds don't really spend the time or the money unless they know that they got you. By the time you're indicted, you're pretty much sunk.
You're sunk.
You're sunk. They got your ass.
Right. And so they never actually opened the indictment.
Interesting. Okay.
Like got to basically that 6 month phase, they dropped the case.
And after that case, it's coming back to me, you know, because I used to talk to Jeremy kind of quite often.
Yes.
You know, I remember that he had some issues.
I'm a very big fan of yours.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. You know, shout out to Jeremy wherever you're at. But he had some issues with his partners.
Yes.
Where they said they were trying to kick him out of the grow.
Yep.
Because of this issue, and then obviously only heard his side of the story.
So there was actually multiple iterations of this. So when he first gets raided by the feds, I'm the one who stands in. And I could tell some even crazier stories because basically that, when I was on Team Jeremy at that point, I felt some type of way that these investors, as this person who had stood in through all these felonies and grown all this weed, as you guys are basically trying to take the business from this man. A bunch of suits.
Right.
Right? Like, I mean, these weren't, there were some cannabis investors, but these were doctors, and like, not to excuse that, but like that to me just didn't feel right. So there was actually a set of accounting documents that I stole and burned for Jeremy.
Okay.
Basically while he was, had been, they take Jeremy to jail. There's basically one of the investors calls a secret meeting to try to push Jeremy off the paperwork, saying that, hey, this, and you've been federally rated, you're breaking your contract, all of these things. We need to push you off the paperwork, basically.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah, try to push him out of the grow.
Right, and so that was basically back in January, February of 21. I actually have all the paperwork on my phone.
So back to unfortunately, Jeremy, it sounds like he lost that place, and then I think you were telling me earlier that he's not in the country anymore, and then the people who originally had the license, I guess the suits,
yes,
they finally got that thing back licensed and they're operating it again.
My understanding is, basically it's taken 3 years for them to re-get the license operated. It's actually not a group of suits anymore. My understanding is it's a group from Colorado now that basically Jeremy multi-sold the building, which is why OMMA shut it down, is my understanding. He sold it to multiple groups. So OMMA said, hey, like, we're too confused basically about what's happening here.
I gotcha, okay.
The group has gotten all the paperwork accorded to, straightened out, and understanding is starting to reoperate the grow as of recently.
Which I believe you said that they made you an offer, but you didn't want to go back to Oklahoma.
There's just so much history in that building that until I've got my own itch to scratch that, and I've got an axe to grind on my own level, that it's just not really on my radar right now.
Okay. So you said that the beginning of the Toad Venom frog poison started there. How?
So, the raid drains our funds.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's not surprising. And basically, I go to a group of guys from California who are very prominent industry people. They make great products. You know who they are. And without, airing them out too much, it's West Coast Alchemy, it's Kush Clinic, it's these, I believed I was bringing the rock stars together, basically. Now we've taken this money together, and they teach us how to make hash. We build out the other side of the building. All of the, we're starting to, achieve our dream, as I think a lot of us felt at that time. And my commitment was to keep bringing genetics to the building and collabs and stuff like that. The fallout to me is basically described as what I call the Lamborghini situation. And something that I really want to touch on for everyone who watches this as a grower, as a employee, like, from the bottom of my heart, I encourage everyone to look at your operation agreements. It's the most important thing. And in our operation agreement, until Jay made his money back, we weren't allowed to take out of the business. And when you can just spend financial control of that business without paying the other people who put into it, it sours the relationships. He kept asking us for money, and we basically kept saying, if you don't give us control of the business, we're not giving you money. We believe the assets are here. We don't need more investor or anything like this. I go back to California to do some stuff for, because just need to do stuff. I come back. Oh, before actually I leave for California, the Lamborghini is being boxed up in the driveway. He says, hey, Jake, I've sold the Lamborghini. I'm using it to pay these bills. I say, as the majority owner, that's what you need to do. That's what you should do. And I come back from California, and the Lamborghini's in the driveway. So I said, well, you sold this thing a week ago. Why is it in the driveway? He said, you didn't actually think I was going to sell that, did you?
No way.
Yeah, that's word for word what
No
he said.
way.
And I said, well, yeah, you're my business partner, and you told me you were going to sell it. I believed you. And now there's like a quadruple problem because how did the utility bills get paid? And there's nothing on the balance sheet. So now that we have an operations agreement where you can get paid up to, you're taking the money back up to this $2 million, and now there's stuff disappearing off the balance sheet. That $20,000, that $30,000 is now being paid back to a phantom. I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out.
And you took a loss in that venture.
I mean, it's something I've told very few people, but I lost everything. I sold my car that day. I lost everything. I ended up on someone's couch.
Wow.
That was late or early 23, maybe. Yeah, so I literally lost everything. It was a really hard pill to swallow, but like I'm so thankful for the experience. I learned so much.
It's like we say, sometimes we don't lose, we just learn. The L changes from a loss to a learning experience, and you can't buy experience. So
And the big takeaway that I want people to take away from that story that I learned is like, because as a person who pheno hunts, who selects and stuff like that, I looked at myself and I didn't blame the other people around, and I said, my picker of who I'm working with is broken. It's not their fault. It's my fault. You and I have talked about the red flags behind closed doors.
Yep.
The fact that I ignored those was no one's fault but my own.
Understood. And it takes a the certain person to realize, to look within yourself, to realize, I should have caught it. You know what I'm saying? And then, and like I said, you learn. But okay, so
this business falls apart, right? We come back to California. We basically relaunch, right? We build a new spot out in California. We get everything up and rolling. We're still going through West Coast Alchemy. There basically is a split, and we start going with a different supplier. This is, months down the road. And when we start going with the different supplier, West Coast Alchemy goes back to Oklahoma to get our cuts. And the employees and that's, if you go back on my Instagram and basically look at this is where the employees are like, hey, we know how fucked you got out of this deal. We feel so fucked up other people coming back here and taking these cuts and woo. What also made me really upset about it was, at the time, I had ending up on the couch, there was a big legacy company who came to me and said, hey, Jake, we know what happened to you. We want to buy some cuts from you to basically get
you rolling again.
Get you rolling again. Okay. And the next day, the facility in Oklahoma texted me that, like, hey, these people are here trying to get your cuts. And so I went to that legacy producer and said, hey, I can't give these to you under the terms that I believe, like, some of these are out there, and I can't do that to you. And so I felt deeply betrayed in that situation. Going back to Jeremy was, to me, a cardinal sin. But, like, I wasn't that hurt about going back and getting these cuts because, again, it took me a long time to get there. But you're like, hey, your picker of who you were working with was broken. So, like, why should this surprise you? So, like, don't let these things surprise you, because you put yourself in these situations. So, it's why so many of the pie chew and the other things, when I come back, the Galaxy Toad, when I come back from Oklahoma, I just scrapped the slate. I knew we had to hunt hard. I knew we had to look through everything. I knew we had to go old. I knew we had to go new, which is why you see Gun Chest, you see Zuyaki, you see Pie Chew. You see a lot of these, basically reach into the bank moves.
So you were breeding in Oklahoma, or you were just pheno hunting?
No breeding. We were basically pheno hunting the collabs. So, like, if I went to Raw Genetics and Pure Melt, I would make a collab with them. I would say, hey, let's put this here and this there. I'll pheno hunt it in Oklahoma. We'll do the cross promo.
I got you. So where did you start the breeding? When you were out of Oklahoma, you came to California, back to California?
So the way with Ronin it works is Canopy Builder is my partner, and it actually has always done all the hands-on breeding.
Okay.
I'm basically the business front. I'm growing the commercial side of the flower. The individuals, the phenos, the actual pollination is done by Canopy himself. He's the one who brought me into Ronin. And so he brings me in like 2016, basically. And basically recognized my value from putting together all these collabs and was like, you should probably be my business partner.
And so then that's when you said you let West Coast Connoisseur kind of die off because you said it was too hard to spell connoisseur. If like a bunch of stoners couldn't spell connoisseurs.
So yeah, so like that was a double lesson from Oklahoma because we dropped West Coast and did connoisseur cannabis.
Okay.
And ask a stoner to spell connoisseur, man. Like it is a tough slate, and the amount of them who can do it is basically zero. And so after closing Oklahoma, which was much later, I'm brought into Ronin in 2016.
Okay.
Oklahoma closes in 2022.
Okay, so it was there was an overlap there. Okay,
Yes,
that I
for
had
sure.
missed earlier.
And that's why you and a
an
bunch
overlap.
of other people know the West Coast Connoisseur,
Connoisseurs.
Ronin. Exactly. So
Very
I was
good.
always kind of wearing multiple hats.
I got you because I never heard the Ronin. The first time that I've heard Ronin was pretty much when this whole I guess call it saga or little dilemma with
Right.
Toad Venom and Frog Poison came about, and I never heard of it before. And then for the people that are watching, what does Ronin stand for? Because you just taught me what Ronin stands for.
Ronin is a samurai with no master. We grew up in a culture of legacy breeding that had all these shadow rules, as I call them, or unwritten rules. If you watch sports, I'm not a fan of unwritten rules. If you're gonna complain that the other team's scoring, stop them from scoring.
I got you.
If you're going to sell me male and female seeds in a pack, like I can use the males. I can sell pollen. We can do all of these things. There's no, you can use someone else's male as long as it's done ethically and available and you've hunted it. So the going our way, having no master, going with our own rules, wanted to be, a big theme of how we made ourselves special.
Okay.
Basically.
So then, when your business partner, you guys decided, he does most of the breeding. You said you do the front end, the business, and you do the flower.
Yeah,
growing.
like if we're growing a room full of toad, I'm probably looking over that side of things, and then he, and he does the same thing too, frankly.
Okay.
But the individual products, maybe I might have more pheno hunting going on at my spot. You know how these things go; they all fluctuate.
I gotcha. So about what year was the Toad Venom created?
So this is actually, I think, a really great story because I think stories make things, right? So I think two things going into Toad Venom that are important into building the legacy is one is understanding that there's a difference between Sinmint Cookies and Sinmint Cookies Zkittlez. Sinmint Cookies was wildly popular for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sin City, it's important to give all these breeders credit, right?
Okay.
I'm super big on this stuff because it takes so long to do. Sin City breeds Zkittlez and Sinmint Cookies together. I have a friend right around COVID who hunts these seeds in a little town called Battleground, Washington. And if any city, state, town needs the credit for everything that has evolved out of the Sinmints movement, it's Battleground.
Okay.
Because they show me all these phenos, and they could not give them back to me, and that was where I was like, I basically got some phenos, and I got on the plane, and I was like, I have to show this to my partner, I have to show this to people. Like, this was weed that knocked my socks off. I was blown away. I was like, I'd never seen anything like this. Not in terms of, you'd smelled similar smells. Mm-hmm. But the flavor translation was so prominent.
So we're saying that the toad is not really just straight Thin Mints, it's Thin Mint Zkittlez crossed with?
The male is Zkittlez female, Sinmint Cookie male.
Okay.
So there's a male selection from that. So we, then he couldn't give me cuts or anything, and even in that day. So I go back and I okay, so what further affirmed we need to do this is I'm on the plane, I've got an eighth of weed in my bag, maybe 4 grams. My phone dies. I need to get a charger, and I go open the top compartment, and it smells like someone's got 10 units up there. Mm-hmm. And so I just close this shit. I'm like, shit, like, Okay, like I must have broke the jar or something. I, didn't really think about it. Some flight attendant. This is in COVID because we're still wearing masks at this point. This might have been peak COVID, like March of 2020, basically, or April 2020. People are wearing masks on planes for sure. It's very strict. And this flight attendant decides she wants to play hero. She's like, "Who's got weed on the plane? We're grounding the plane." So I
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So I sit
okay.
there basically just like frozen. I'm like, the best
Shit.
thing to do is say nothing, right? Like
Right,
that's
yeah.
what I've always been taught to do is you just say nothing. She starts basically like perusing through this thing, playing fucking superhero. And I just fess up. I'm like, "Okay, lady, I've got an eighth. Like it's my medicine for California. I'm trying to do the whole spiel. Don't ground this plane over 4 grams. And she gets on with the pilot and everything. And I like to think, I don't know what happened on this conversation, but I like to think the pilot said, "We're not grounding this for 4 grams.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would have made the news.
Yeah.
On the plane, I thought it was 40 pounds. It was actually 4 grams.
Right. Yeah.
But
like I legitimately had 4 grams. And so I get back, I give my partner the weed and stuff, and we're super stoked on it. We go buy the seeds. We basically do a group pheno hunt between us and 805. He took all the males, we took all the females. Once he did all the males in a greenhouse for the first time, and then we took the 3 best ones that we liked, and we brought them back to us over at Ronin. Then basically, this is actually another funny story. I brought the males back down. I was in the process of moving at the time. Didn't know what box was what. I sat on a box and I sit on all of these males, break them all in half. And one of them ends up coming back super vigorous, super strong. That's the Sinmint's F1 male.
Okay.
That ends up being the pollinator that we use for everything. So the earliest mentions I have in my phone, I looked at this before we came on, of us selecting this male and moving into the pollination would be early 2020, basically. March of 2020, we had male. We for sure had male selected and pollinated. So that's where then, if you look back, I still have it at that point labeled Sinmint's Animal Face. We didn't have the name Toad Venom at that point. The way I've run Ronin for years is I go to grows and I say, "Hey, grower X, do you want to grow individual strain, whatever it is? Let's find a way for you to be successful together," because I've always had the market for the high-end units. So if you're growing a Ronin strain successfully, I'll help you elevate the price, basically. Let's cross-promote this together. Your price goes up. We stay as the boutique.
That's what people don't understand. There's more money in collaboration than competing a lot of these times.
Anyone knows me, I have put together more breeder collabs that more people told me were impossible, right? I've done the raw Ronin ones. I've done the raw Canorado ones, pure melt Canorado, pure melt raw Ronin, Y East. To have a lot of these guys who have come together at points and helped us with projects. Uprising, who isn't with us anymore, but that's where Garlic Cocktail came from. These things, they percolated as a group, right? And people obviously want to sell their stuff for a higher price. And so if I could go and do this cross-marketing effort with people, I give you seeds, you hunt them in your infrastructure, because you know what it is as a breeder, you can't hunt everything. It's just not possible.
It's fucking tough, and I'm living that right now because I've only been breeding now for I don't know 3 to 6 months with Ricky, one of the employees for the Mango Tech store. He's an accomplished young breeder and young grower. And he's taught me everything that I know about breeding, and I've tried people to teach me in the past, and nobody's ever taken the time to teach me or do it with me.
Right.
So and then I can definitely see the amount of work that it takes to do it right, and then the pheno hunting is the next part. Which brings me now to once you guys bred this, then you gave the seeds out to people to pheno hunt because it's like you said, you can't pheno hunt.
So,
everything.
like Mike McCoy got the I call it Sinmint's, Sinmint Sunset Octane. So Mike McCoy was the only person hunting those.
Okay.
My relationship with Derek at time led to Derek doing the animal face Sinmints. 805 is Fire did papaya cake Sinmints. These are all very strategic things I do.
So that's how Green Dragon and Derek come into the story.
Yes.
You gave the seeds to Derek too,
Yep.
and he took them over to Green Dragon.
Yep.
And then they popped them over there.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So basically, fast forward. I basically at some point we'll do a little more on this later. I basically at some point obtain Toad, what's Becky at the time from Green Dragon.
Do you? And I think I've asked you before, but obviously the viewers don't know. Have you ever met Glenn from Green Dragon? And I've asked you before.
Once years ago.
I got you. Okay.
But most of my communication was through the growers.
Okay, I got you.
And that's generally the way I do things. That's the people popping seeds. We try to find the investor-less relationships, and that's not always possible, right? So having growers who are passionate is usually the person I'm communicating with the most.
I got you. Well, I'm going to throw a curveball at this podcast because we've got another special guest. In-house, because there's a little bit of dilemma, a little bit of insta drama, and there's no better weed that smokes better than drama weed.
Preferred Gardens coined.
I don't know. Was it him that did it?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm under the understanding the drama weed skit came from him, and Preferred. If you're listening to this, 10 out of 10 from.
Well, then shout out to fucking Dave from Preferred because I think I've heard the first. I think it was Kraft, but Kraft might have heard it from Dave from Preferred. Drama weed smokes the best, and drama weed definitely fetches the most tickets. So shout out to Drama Weed, shout out to Preferred, shout out to Kraft Farmer because I think I heard him say it first. But anyway, I got a twist, and I got Glenn from Green Dragon here.
Yeah.
Let's bring him out.
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on out. Come on out. Ta-da-da. Ta-da-da. What's up?
Long time to see. Yeah, you know what I do? People have been asking me, have I ever met you? And I was like, you know what? I think one time at the shop.
Yeah.
When Derek first came down.
Yeah, probably. I remember meeting you one time over at the NoHo location.
Yes. Our old NoHo shop.
Yeah.
So this is pretty interesting because when sorry, oops, a little light action, dropping shit. So when Glenn contacted me and then we did this podcast, at that time I didn't know who Ronin was, but I known Ronin was. I didn't know Jake was Ronin. And then all this, like I said, the Ronin minions were sticking up for you, and then I've known Glenn for quite a while now. Yeah. So I said, Glenn, would you mind coming on, on the podcast and talking about it? He goes, yeah, no problem. And then we started dropping clips, and then the interweb,
I'm sure,
social media started going crazy. And then you were reaching out to Josh. I don't know if you thought that I ran the podcast page because I don't run the podcast page. I can only run so many fucking things.
We expect you to wear more hats.
Yeah. After always complaining about Instagram deleting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even need a social media anymore.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I do. Unfortunately, we kind of all do in a way. It's a double-edged sword with the social media. But then we had the podcast, and then you reached out to Josh or to the page, and I said, you know what? I like to be polite to people, so I called Glenn. I said, hey Glenn, I got a question for you. Would you mind coming on the? Would you mind if I had, West Coast connoisseurs on a podcast? He goes, no problem. I go, would you mind coming on the podcast? He goes, no, not a problem. I go, this is going to work out fucking pretty cool. I get to have these dudes. And he goes, and then don't worry, I'm not going to do anything at your store. And I'm like, well, I never said that, but I appreciate you saying that because it's fucking, we're all grown adults here, and then we can all agree to disagree. Like I said, there's many different stories or many different variations. Sometimes you hear different stories in
or
the.
Just more history than the other people know.
Correct, exactly.
I'm over here listening to a lot of this, and this is the first time I've heard a lot of the lineage ahead before this. Because
me neither, and that's why I like to get really, really deep into it and then figure out exactly, even starting from like how did you come about, cannabis growing? And I think I went with you with that, the whole story, because I like to, the viewers would like to get the whole story of everything. So this was interesting. This is very interesting. It's cool that you had two different kind of breeds, and then, Mike McCoy had one, and then you gave the other one towards Derek, which ended up a Green Dragon. And I think I'm going to touch on something that we discussed earlier, which we agree. Yeah. And then that if you give the seeds to, whether it's the grower, and the grower takes them to a space, okay, the owner of that pheno that got hunted is the facility, because they're the one that spent the fucking money.
Yes.
I'm saying the money. That was the one that spent the money, the time, the resources into growing that plant, because it costs money. I'm gonna tell you. You fucking know more than anybody what it cost to find a winner. Because it's just like literally like kissing a toad and turning into a prince.
Jesus.
I think you're right on that portion too, but like that I think if it was only like me paying the bills, I wouldn't have stressed that big about it. Because like I just feel like when you have we talked about this, like a little bit of you have a selection process, the way you decide to like things and put them in production, right? Like something of the whole team plays into that. Like, I think you were talking about like your partner is like more plant facing, right? And like,
that's one of the things I don't abide by. All these like traditionalists, you have to do this rules. Like someone was like, bro, how do you call yourself a breeder if you don't do the pollination? You're like, well, because I own half the company.
Right.
So why does that matter, right? Like I tell people all the time, there's nothing to preclude people. Like some of the best brands right now that are putting out winners, the owners don't smoke.
Mm-hmm.
That's true too.
That's true too.
I don't fuck with that, but I understand it.
Yeah.
It's a fact, right?
It's a fact. You don't need to smoke to pick winners. If you've got the right team, the right people around you.
And like somebody said today about mango, you got people growing your weed. Well, guess what? I can't fucking do it all. Yeah. I mean, they're speaking, almost 800 fucking lights in my facility.
Well, and that's also like why I always say, like, when anybody uses I or me in this type of situation, they ain't talking my language, because I'm like, right now there's a dude at one of my facilities making sure that everything's good before he goes home at night, just because I have a walkthrough. It's been the way we've done it. And to take the credit away from that dude, or all the guys that actually because let's say if your partner touches plants, and I don't know, maybe on what level, but usually there's other people that are like waking up to help, or coming down for takedown, or helping plant, or whatever it is. It's all like this big. That's why, even I think when this whole thing started, thank you. When this whole thing started, I think the game was, there was some definitely some like leniency in like what someone could try at my place. I gave Derek, I think dude's a really talented dude. Like
You've always give him credit.
Hey man, I drafted that dude like a quarterback, right? I brought him down. There was a lot of other people looking at him.
Oh.
He went to Seed Junkies. He went to Jungle Boys. Yeah. He went to like pretty much a lot of people. So I brought him down for a reason, not because like just to, and no, nothing taken away, not to like just grow great weed, but to like, we've been in business a long time before that, growing good weed, but his level of organization with hunting is fucking,
it's A1.
Hey, look, we carry that on. That's the whole point. Like we've been hunting a long time. We put a lot of things statewide through California before that with great success. But what we did get from him was that organizational process. And that before that, my shit was disorganized. I had, if this was to grow, I had fucking plants just lined up all the way around, males, females. I'm keeping shit, but we're not as organized because we always had the nursery. Yes. So we kind of had a jump on it. I always had like, if there was an elite cut, there's never been a cut I couldn't touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like someone's bringing it to me, and if not, I can pay enough money for it that I can sell it. Mm-hmm. I'm not tripping off of paying 10 grand or 15 grand or 20 grand for a cut if it's the right cut, because I'm going to sell it for 3 years.
Right.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like that's part of the game. So, but yeah, I just, I think I like I said, I like hearing like some of this story, like some of the backstory of what it was crossed, because when we smoke it, we taste Skittles in it, and everybody asks me where the fuck the Skittles comes from in those two crosses, and I can't answer that.
And I never even heard that until just now. Yeah. So that's it's a great thing to have these discussions.
Jai smoked that weed, and the first thing he said to me was, like a year ago, was, why do I taste some Skittles?
Interesting.
And I was like,
I couldn't tell you,
That-
but now we know.
Now you can tell.
Now
yeah,
we know.
yeah.
And one of the things that Sin City needs credit for, but was, kind of a naming gaffe in my opinion on his end, was look how hard it is to differentiate varieties. Look at writing Sinmint Cookie or Sinmints, Sinmints
Yeah.
versus Mintz.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Very, very subtle
Well-
difference. And people didn't, in that era, weren't necessarily that the Z meant Skittles. Some people were just doing it as we threw Z's on shit instead of S's.
Dude, that whole Sinmint Cookies, if we're going down that road, so this is what's crazy about Sinmint Cookies, right? Is JB told me this. So JB used to test for him a lot. I don't know
Yeah.
if people know that. Early on,
sure,
JB
all
was
the animal-
Yeah, it was
yeah.
testing all that stuff. So he told me that and this is what's crazy. If you're in LA and you've been in LA for fucking 25, 30 years, the first clone only ever dispensary in the history of the United States was a place called Progressive Options. It was in Van Nuys,
Yeah.
and they sold a lot of cuts. And the joke was always they sold a lot of bugs too, because they didn't know the shit. You know what I mean? But they gave you access. They were the first place you could go buy a King Louis.
They had 4x8 trays in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the cuts they sold was this cut called Power OG. Now, me and the dude that still works for me right now, Danny Romero, I mentioned him last time. We ran that cut at his house, and it hermed the whole fucking place out, right? And at the time, I was like anything with a bean on it. We were in there trying to pick off it was ridiculous. But what JB told me was that's the cut that actually made Sinmint Cookies. He took that back out from Progressive Options, ran it in his room with cookies, and then when it fucking did its thing, thus is the birth of Sinmint Cookies.
Interesting.
And I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
There's layers to all of it, right?
Always storytelling, and
Yeah.
that's why I like to get deep into the nitty gritty, and then get the full story in the background.
Dude,
of
we're all
everything.
standing on somebody's giants. There's some dude
I
in
say that all the
Pakistan,
time.
motherfucker. You know what I mean? That's you know what I mean? Because that's how long this shit has been around. So we're just coming back through and getting kind of blessed by what everybody finds, by a passion, by you finding some great shit and staying with it, and then look at the journey it made, at the end of the day.
I always say, I've always felt so privileged to work with so many breeders. I look up to Canorado. I look up to the U's. And so for me, I'm a decade younger than all of you guys. So for me, who gets to be the guy who works with all you guys, it's not a task I take lightly. I take it very seriously because I say, without you guys, there is no me. I'm firm believer in that because you guys were the ones who had to, RFID your homes, and you guys were under single-ended adjust-a-wings and all the other shit, so that I got to come around in 2016, straight HPS lights. People were doing crazy shit. We didn't have to run in fucking fear of everything we're doing, and I didn't get to have that creative process instead of the hidden without all of you guys. I'm very thankful for that.
And I appreciate that, and I believe that. I'm 55 years old, and there's guys that I look up to that were older than me that, I wanted to be like those guys back in Florida. They were the fucking drug dealers that had the Corvettes, the fucking fine-ass strippers, the hookers. You fucking names. Dude, I want to have that life.
Yeah.
Because, I was an immigrant. I had nothing, I've done everything from dishwashing, busboy, salad boy, prep cook, you name it. Construction is fuck, man, I want to be like those guys because they had the nice cars. In Florida, that's what you did. That's what you chased. It was the nightlife. Be able to surf whenever you wanted to because I was a surfer, and you can't be a surfer if you have a job because the waves don't come on a schedule. They just show up.
Right.
And then we want to go around the world and surf. So that's kind of what we chase. We chase the fast life. So the drug dealing, the growing weed was something that supplemented our lifestyle in a way, a lifestyle. But one of the questions that that the interweb, I keep saying interweb, my son makes fun of me. The social media was and then this might be a little awkward for one of you guys or both of you guys, was the cut stolen back from the Green Dragon back to you. You say that it was that Derek, that it was agreed, given to you, and you said that maybe it wasn't agreed. And then I like to, like I said, we can all agree to disagree here.
Well, we all have what I never talked to you.
Yeah.
So I can't tell what happened is that we never there's one time where something went back to a breeder out of our stuff that wasn't controlled by us. Without this, one time, and it was Malverde 2.1,
Yeah.
or OGKB 2.1. We called Malverde that Derek found in Washington. He gave it to someone, and I don't even know who did the pollination, but somebody pollinated ice cream cake with a bunch of different things. And that one, I had no say in because he brought that cut. He brought a bunch of cuts down. He brought like 40, 45, 50, maybe even more.
So you might not know this, but I actually held all those cuts before they came to your spot.
Right. See, of course I don't. Right. You know what I mean? Because and that's neither here nor there. That's his network.
That was
and
his
he had
deal, yeah.
that, and we knew like ahead of time that there was definitely, that he was working with people. Because like legitimately, I told you this on the podcast. Like, I mean, I literally I got him, but I paid for Seed Junkie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like I got every Seed Junkie. It put me like ahead of the loop on all the Seed Junkie shit. Because
Every KM11 cross.
I had them all. He had every one of them. So
And that's part of the reason probably why you hunted him in a way. His,
I
his
knew he had
knowledge,
you
his
know what?
organization, his
His
access
selection
to the
process.
cuts,
and
selection.
Yeah.
My opinion, I've been very close with him for a long time. I love his selections. Doesn't matter the breeder, the gear. I mean, he's always just. I used to joke before he came down here that I was like, bro, this guy's got the Midas touch. He'll fucking find gems in 11 seeds where you want to just throw everything away. I don't know what he does, what he rubs on them, but like he fucking finds gems.
But you know what's crazy about that is that like, I think really good people, right, that are good at things, they make it look easy and effortless, right? Like that's what people that are good at what they do. What I can say is when we had to look through these things, we're looking through 170 phenos at all times, and there was 95%. You work beans. 95% is not worth doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would go out and look at all those pheno hunts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Derek would have 1 million samples. He and I would just sit there and smoke in his backyard.
See, I don't even know that part.
Yeah.
Because like, you know what I mean? And the only thing that made this, I think, weird is everybody else, like JB, like Karma Genetics, like Fletcher, those guys all know me. So that's the question that no one ever asked me, is they said, if I would have known Ronin, would I have allowed him to have the clone back? I said, most likely, yeah.
You've always said that most likely by just.
But it was weird. What it was weird for us because we are like a brand is that when it came out into our market and people said it wasn't that, and I'm not saying that that's associated with you at all.
Right.
We were just like, wait a minute, that's where this thing came up because we're like, wait a minute, our
We
team,
did this.
our team, not like
You've
me,
always been heavy on saying not I, but the team.
And these guys are good. These are talented ass people. Like I said, like we're talking about a discrepancy, and I think sometimes what happens. Look, when you sell a lot of weed, right? You know this as well as anybody. All of us here. If I make a guy my salesperson, that dude might end up slipping $50 a pack or $25 a pack or $100 a pack because he's giving dudes first looks on things or he drives the price down with you a little bit more than you would. So when you put a dude in the middle of you and somebody, a middleman, there's always room for like this communication. And middlemen like to stay middlemen because if they're not, and that doesn't mean that like somebody's not good at their job, but if you're looking at like building relationships, because that's what I've never ran anybody's seeds that I really liked that I didn't like overtly go and like literally make weird like I chased CSI down at fucking Chalice and was like, bruh, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, this dude's weird, but I was into his.
We've all been there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, I love what you do, man.
That was my Canorado.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and so I just think giving everybody the credit, and then also knowing like I just didn't know on my side. I didn't know. So when I saw it in the wild, it
hurts, right? It feels like that you're not getting credit for something you started.
I want to go,
or even participating in the winning of it. Like if there's a way to all make money, right? Like we always talk about, if there's like a way that we can all win, then like awesome. But as soon as like it's not that way, then it gets all weird and
that's why I put this together. When I was talking to you, I go, you know what? At the end of the day, we're all adults. We can all agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, I believe this will help your brand, our brand. Kind of elevate each other. In a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got people watching.
I think
They're interested in the story.
Yeah.
And like whether we agree that it was taken or given back or agree or whatever. At the end of the day, it's a story that people get to hear, and then we get to learn about every person in here.
Well, he definitely didn't steal it. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what we could.
Correct.
We could put that on the web right now.
Correct.
He definitely did not steal it.
Correct,
I know
because
that.
he was no access.
Yeah.
He did say, I think you mentioned, when you and Derek were at my facility 3 to 4 years ago,
Yes.
maybe or something.
Yeah.
He said that when you were on your way back from here, actually, that you might have mentioned something that you could have had it back. And I don't know if there was miscommunication or...
It's basically like I'll tell what I remember as my version, right?
Okay.
These are all things so old, right? So I was at the time, going back and forth from Oklahoma, almost bi-weekly. It was insane. And you guys had come up here. You and Derek had come up here. I basically remember it being for a while, like you said, like Derek would be like, hey, like can't really get you cuts, whatever it is. We're pheno hunting stuff, but, I'm trying to, soften up to the situation. We've given some stuff to breeders basically, but it'll take time. And then, I felt like that the call leaving here was like, hey, like, let's try to make more cool stuff, right? If we give you this back, we'll get more cool stuff. To me, the dichotomy of the situation is like, if this phone call never happened, then I don't have access to those genetics, right? If the phone call did happen, that's why I went and got the cuts from Derek, right?
I don't remember ever talking to you on the phone. If I did, then that's
Yeah.
that's not impossible. You know what I mean? But the game, like for us with this was that once it got like once we were no longer working with Derek.
Right.
Maybe about 4 or 5 months, maybe 3 months, 4 months. He called somebody that I know closely and told him like, hey, this Toad Venom thing is going crazy, right? Like it's going wild. And so that person told us, because they didn't think there was anything like wrong about it.
Right.
But when I told everybody else, because I wasn't saying it mad, like I always would say that like to any of these people, like if I wanted to really hurt it, we have a nursery, we could have been like,
Bro, just
drop 2,000, right?
drop
Like
the
over
clone.
it. And so we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to fuck anybody up. But when it made it around, so it got told to me, then I told it to everybody that works out there, and then they circled it back around to him. Then he called the first person and said, why the fuck did you tell them? So the game was like, it was already
A game of telephone.
That's a fact, and that's like so I would have I think it would have all been a little different if there was ever communication. And I don't have communication direct with you. Like, I don't remember having that call. Is that impossible? No, it's not. But could me and Derek have talked about that? I know this. We never exclusively, me and him, that I remember ever saying like, you can take Becky and give it back. But is it, like I said, is that impossible? It didn't happen? No, I did come up here and visit. You are talking about things that happened for sure.
Because, like, this to me is where a lot of this unfolds, right? Let's call it no secret. I get pinned around there for the Gary Payton theft, right? I can actually show you visible stuff that's damaging to a friend of mine who gave me Gary Payton, and it's not Derek.
Right.
And so I just really, what I wanted to do on one thing today was just be like, hey, like, look, Derek definitely did not give me Gary Payton. I will show you who gave me Gary Payton, not on screen.
The fucking plot.
Well, look, and this is the thing.
Fucking gets thicker.
Like, I have to watch because I don't want to, I wasn't going to bring up any of that.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to, like, my goal is not, like, dude is a positive part of the team.
Exactly. And so that's why I wanted his name to be vindicated of that.
I just that there's, just like how you can share that side of it. Yeah. There's some things I could share on the other side too, to say why this happened and why it got to this decision. But I don't think, I think that like, I think what we could agree on is that we have maybe different information and viewpoints on what, so I'm learning too at the same time, right? Like you telling me that? Yeah. No one ever told me that before, and there was a lot to that situation.
Trust me, I know all the closed doors behind that one, which is why, like, again, I've sat on this info because I don't want to say, here's the thing that I've always said to people is, like, there will never be a message that said, hey, come get this clone, or hey, you can't get this clone. We've all sat in legal instances. There's never going to be beyond reasonable doubt of whatever happened, right? There's circumstantial evidence, and that's all I can show is circumstantial evidence, right?
Yeah, and look, like I said, my goal was always, when it comes to that situation, which I once again, I didn't even,
Yeah.
you know, I throw it
No,
where it's
trust
at,
me.
but more than like a clone or anything, I'm really good friends with Jai. I really value him and my family. I value his family. I know, like, so it affected a personal relationship with me in any way, shape, or form as someone that I really value, that really, to me, played a big-ass role in modern-day weed. And so it's just important when I got that chance to be next to a dude that I'm generally friends with. It's not because I have business with him or anything, and he believes in me so much that was really hurtful because it just, you know, and so it's not about what anybody did or didn't do. It's just that it was a bad situation.
Yep.
And then from that situation, you know, moving forward, things, you know how it is if a girl like accuses you of cheating or something. After that, if she really gets it in her head that you're cheating, it doesn't really matter whether you were cheating or not.
Or not, right,
You're just going to
exactly.
get treated that way. At that
100%. I agree.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's why, like, one of the things I wanted to do was just be like, hey, like, Derek means a lot to me as a friend, right? Like, I've known him forever. And so, like, that was one of the things that I, you know, like, and again, in those situations are hard when they finish, right? Like, that's where basically, like, long story comes back around, frog poison, right? Because, you know, everything falls apart in Oklahoma. Everyone feels they're entitled to different things, whatever it is, right? Like, these things at the end, they happen, man. And everyone feels, you know, I'll never know what West Coast Alchemy and Jeremy said to each other on the phone, right? Never know, nor do I really care, right? You know, I'm the person who's like, I made my mistakes, wash my hands, I move on, right?
I'm moving forward.
That's I mean, that's what this situation was for us. You know, what this thing said was that we should have never let a middleman be in the middle of that relationship because if like what you're saying is like, which again, I remember definitely meeting you at North Hollywood one time, but I feel like that, like, usually I have like a back and forth with all the guys I do work with, or that I, you know, like, it doesn't even matter if they're like.
That's what I was saying. I don't know if you were in here before, but I usually, you know, for me, who's a breeder, my relationship more often than not is with the facility owner, right? Because that's who owns the genetics, right? Like, when you, like, again, I do pheno hunts in other people's businesses right now.
Yeah.
They own the genetics. There's never, and I hope this is one of the
we were
big
having this
takeaways.
conversation earlier that
I hope this is one of the big takeaways for people of the episode. Like, there are no written rules of this stuff, right? I'm a person who generally bucks the shadow trend of whatever the rules are. But, like, in this instance, I like to stay firm with, like, hey, if someone bred it, they bred it. Whoever pheno hunted it, they pheno hunted it. They spent the time. And again,
the money,
breeding,
the resources.
it's the time, the money, the resources. We've all talked about, like, you know, someone just here was like, oh, is Pai Chu a new one for you? And you're like, I mean, kind of, but in the relative scale of agriculture, yes, it's extremely new, right?
When this whole thing was going on, you know, Ricky, which is, I guess, called the audience over there, you know, he's a breeder, and I say, hey, Ricky, what's your take on this? If, you know, you bred, if you give seeds to growers, right, do you expect the cutback? And he goes, no. I mean, it'd be cool to get the cutback, but you can't expect the cut back. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect, it'd be cool if you get it back, but you can't expect
what? If you're in a major market, this is where it gets weird. When you invest that money and you're in a market, if somebody else has like that same thing in your market, then it's tough for a breeder. Like, I would never do something with like JB and give it back to him to say, hey, compete against me. He would just take it and work it and do something with it.
Right.
And then hopefully share it back with me. I honestly, I don't even know. Even though I tell, like, when I have people run seed for me, sometimes it doesn't come back as fast. It'll sell to somebody else before I get it back. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not even stressing that. I just want to be part of the way. I want to do my part to keep that wave rolling. And what a facility like mine or a business like mine is, like with 2,000 lights, we can put something in play. And I think we do. I like to think that I was told today, like, all these dudes, a lot of dudes entering competitions are doing it out of their garage. Like, major growers that are entering these things. I got told by somebody today that it was like, hey, about half of these things came out of a smaller private grow. And I'm like, damn, because, you know, like a guy like me, I'm like, shouldn't you have to like buy a jar? Like, shouldn't someone have to go in like a shop and buy a jar and see what's real?
Funny thing that you say that, because I'm going to let this out. I'm going to let this out because I don't know if I'm ever going to. You're laughing over there. I had an idea a while back. going back to this, okay? So if there's a competition, there's a race, okay? And then Ford's got a fucking Ford and Chevrolet and Nissan, whatever, and they're going to go put a truck into a competition or whatever. They're going to soup the fucking shit out of that truck. You know, they're going to, the best of the best, nothing to that engine, the suspension, whatever, is going to the Baja. It's just a competition. So if it's an open competition, it shouldn't really matter if you freaking put the special juju in that thing, 1 plant per light, and you put your special potion in there, because that's what they call in competition. But I was going to do something one day. It's called the Consumer's Cup, okay? To where this would be expensive to do, because you'd have to go to every dispensary. Let's say Green Dragon, I have to go to the dispensary and pick up, so many samples. Let's say there's 50 judges. I'd have to buy 58s. And then XYZ company, I have to go through dispensaries and buy from whatever's on the shelf, you know what I'm saying? And then in a room with cameras, per se, you have to open up all these things, put them into a jar that's non-labeled, put a number on it,
Painful.
Painful, inexpensive, inexpensive. And then at the end, then give, jar 1 through 20, whatever, to judges. And then that's the real true Consumer's Cup, because that's what the average person can go to a dispensary and buy off the shelf. You know what I'm saying? That is true. What your commercial grown, run of the mill, the best that you can get.
It's so hard because the consumer understanding versus the people in this room's understanding is in a totally different light year, right? We understand that one batch isn't as good as the other or whatever it is. And the consumer, especially when you're selling some of the high ticket stuff, if it doesn't smoke right, doesn't smell right, whatever, they're just out to burn skin, And so, I tell people all the time, like, we don't enter any of the competitions. We just don't do that stuff. I think that's totally great that people are doing it. It's just not in our MO to be like battling people and stuff like that as much as it is for us to, I would rather take that money and invest it into our own marketing and our own systems. That's just my general philosophy.
It's kind of the double-edged sword, because you got to be in it to win it. We just started entering stuff. We entered a couple of strains into the Olympics, and we made it into the qualifier.
Yeah.
So then now you got to think, fuck. Okay, so the next we got to now, produce for the finals, per se. So then we got to put that strain into. You got to look at your schedule, and you got to say, okay, the weed's got to be in by this date. So the three, we harvest every 2 weeks, roughly about 120 lights, plus or minus 5 to 10 lights. So every room that harvests, and like the 3 times before that, you got to have that strain in there to be able to, because just like you said, not every room hits every time for whatever reason. 2 AC units broke. You couldn't get the AC guy over there. Or something happened with the injection system or whatever. I mean, what doesn't happen? What doesn't happen? Yeah, exactly. On that fucking row, that solenoid is going to break and nobody's going to catch it. The plants are going to droop and it hurt it. So
you have called me from Japan and we're like, hey, both solenoid valves in the room just broke. You're like, sick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So shit happens. So you got to make sure that the last 3 rooms have that strain, so you can pick the best one out of those 3 harvests, so you can enter into the competition.
Knowing your markets, like I tell people, when we won Cowboy Cup in Oklahoma, which was one of those competitions where there were so many entrants, they basically had 4 March Madness brackets, and then the winners of the brackets faced each other because they can't smoke all that weed basically back to back. And at that time, we put in a mimosa cut, and if you were on our level, you would have been like, that's a stupid idea. You should have heard the conversations. That's a dumb idea. But mimosa was just what the market needed, right? And so I ended up eating crow on that one, right? We ended up winning, I think, first with 2.1 for best terpene and second overall with mimosa,
It's terp profiles, man. Like in the Bay, they love Skittles and purples, and I kept losing cannabis cups up here, and I'm like, you know what? I ended up popping raws. Derek ended up popping the raws, the Skittles, back to the Georgia pie.
The Z pies have been.
Boo! That motherfucker right up here ended up taking second place. You know what I mean? It's like
the Z Pie 14 cut was hunted from you guys. That runs around, right?
Yep.
The Zuyaki, which actually was in the fem. So Z Pie 14 and Zuyaki make the fems that, we made at one point. But so Pie Chew is one of the newer ones we're kind of getting into. But that's made with the Z Pie that came from you guys.
fire. It's
Yeah.
got that gas in it.
And so, how these things go, right? Like the raw genetic stuff from you guys, we really liked it. A Derek,
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
selection, right? We at Ronin are very high on Derek selections, just generally, and so, then we found that, and Pie Chew is probably the thing you see us promoting the most right now.
Yeah.
Over at Ronin Kush Clinic, that's where we distribute everything through. This is Galaxy Toad, actually hunted by Derek also.
Nice.
So
So it's crossed with the toad.
yeah, so Toad Venom and breeding,
So I've seen
where we're at.
ever since all this shit happened. I've seen the social media, just the toad crosses are fucking heavy right now.
So-
I actually see you.
Yeah, well, this is
posted
like,
a couple
we
of
did, we did the first set of it like 10 months ago, and went more like super. I went Sherbanger, Donnie Burger.
You just posted
like a
about that
bunch of-
today, the
yeah, like a
Sherbanger.
bunch of and went the other way with it because I felt like everybody was going to run skittily with it.
For
You know what I mean? And I
Everyone
just-
was going to go Toad Runts variant. That was going to be very obvious.
And so we just tried to go, even I was explaining that to you, even before we do this, every time we have a general consensus of what we want to hunt too. If we're trying to find something out of it, I feel like I see a lot of people pop in seed and they just pop for whatever comes out. We get a lot of seed given to us and we buy a lot too. I try to support lately, the last 3-4 years, I've been trying to just buy a lot to keep it going. Because I feel like people aren't spending money in the
Breeders should appreciate that.
I'm not going to tell you I don't get a discount on some guys, but I refuse to take them for free and be like, I want to participate. I want them to be able to keep their lights on to make some more seeds.
That's a great fucking attitude.
I mean,
Yeah.
Those guys that everybody wants everything for free.
It's so easy, right? We hear it with exclusive cuts all the time. I hear it from a breeder perspective. They're like, what exclusive can you give me? What exclusive can you give me? You're like, so you want to do a deal where I give you exclusive clone and I hope that I get something in return. This feels like a tale as old as time.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's not going to work.
So yeah, it's to have people who actually go out there and support your craft is everything, man. For Ronin, we don't sell. I mean, we sell very small amounts of seeds, right? If you see us, it's event only pop up. We're not selling whole lines. We might pick one or two things from a line, and we're gonna sell basically this year we got 2 Zuyaki things, 3 Sinmint things, 2 gun chest things. That's all that's going to hit the menu. We're trying to be a tool for cultivations, right? It's a different goal. So the breeders that do need to sell seeds, I encourage people to support them because it is so hard right now.
It's expensive as hell.
Well, nobody's spending the money on a big level right now because they're growing candies. These facilities in Sacramento, I mean, it's no disrespect, but I bet you it's 80% candy.
At least.
If not more.
At least. At least.
It's part of the reason I believe I was just telling Alex that I believe Toad is doing so well right now.
I agree.
Because it's not candy.
That's right.
Right?
No.
It's
I mean,
timing,
there
too.
is
It's
a-
not
It's
OG.
timing.
It gets you where I think it's a nice bridge to where where people are used to right now.
And so this is
And
going.
it's greenweed.
Right.
Yeah.
Greenweed. It's
but
totally.
that's always been one thing about being as old as we were. I was growing weed in Oakland in 94, 95, 96. When Urkel hit in 97, 98, this same thing happened. You couldn't sell green Urkel.
Right.
If you couldn't get it purple, you were just stuck with it. And then once we mastered getting Urkel purple, then we were Granddaddy became the wave. And Granddaddy wants to go less purple than Urkel did. So you're like, fuck me.
Well,
Underlighting would have been the shit.
Well,
for
and
back then.
why some people I think also could have a preconceived notion. People have you heard of the candy toads and stuff like
Oh,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Well, and the candy toads, that's part of the Oklahoma story when they're going back and trying to get cuts from us multiple times. So at first, the general manager that I had left in place over there, when I had left, I just cut my losses. I was like, I'm done. The general manager would say, hey, these people are trying to come get cuts of X, Y, or Z. Wasn't even Toad Venom stuff at the time. Just would be other
whatever they
Ronin-
thought
was hot, right? And so we would replace other shit with them. And so at one point, there were probably 4 or 5 fake toads. There was an Animal Mints Orange Z. Which wasn't even close. There was Detroit Runts. There was
That's the one I keep hearing about. Detroit. You got Detroit Runts. That's
because
what I
that
keep-
was the one that was most heavily populated,
Right.
right? So because these were all going to different groups, right, that were coming to this facility trying to get cuts. So I was kind of tracking these through different ways because and I could see where it was getting passed because the Oregon stuff was all the orange, the West Coast Alchemy stuff was all Detroit ones, and so that was kind of my. For me, I felt betrayed in this situation, and so I said, I'm not going to go fight someone, but like what I will do is give you a fake clone, and every single cut you propagate, every pot you do, every round you run, every acre you grow is going to be a fake cut.
I agree with that 100%.
So that's what I did, and I didn't. I even had the opportunity to give them HLV and backed off, which.
He's like, I kept the disease. But you got that right.
Yeah.
Wow, heavy duty.
Yeah.
So I got a question. At what point did it go from Becky? Who was the one that named, what came first, Toad Venom or Frog Poison? And who named it that? Or how did that happen?
Well, so it was given to me with the name Becky.
Okay.
Right. I maybe tag said Animal Face Sinmints, but I knew you guys were calling it Becky, whatever.
That was the...
and just for me, we were in the name smash phase, right? Where like we were like, hey, like Becky's not going to work for us. And shout out Dusty. He's going to be really stoked for this one. It's our Vedrum guy.
Okay.
Vedrum guy said sin, animal, like what's a sinful animal situation, Toad Venom.
So Toad Venom was before Frog Poison. Okay,
Before Frog Poison.
Okay, so Toad Venom.
So Toad Venom goes from him
Becky,
to Oklahoma.
Okay.
We're growing it in Oklahoma, and I don't know, I kind of felt like Toad was ahead of its time, and also, like, for me, I was taking in so...
Funny, you said that too.
You
said that before. You said the people weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
It was ahead of its time.
That's what I told the same. I mean,
you've said that.
We've never not had that cut in production since we found it.
Yeah.
Like, it's never not been in a room. In one of our 30 flower rooms, that girl has been in the thing forever, not just because, I liked it.
Toad never cracked the top 20 in sales in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't. I mean, orange
No, look,
out there.
like, whoever did the marketing on this shit, if that was you guys,
Yes.
then there was, listen, you smashed us on the marketing.
You've always said that too.
100,000 times over. There's not even, to the point where we wouldn't have even gone Toad Venom except for the fucking point where they were like, that's Detroit Runts on my Becky. I'm like, I swear to you, this is the same thing.
Right. So that's where all that feedback came from, because basically what I had told other people is like, it was never that West Coast Alchemy and these guys couldn't get the cut because it was within our ranks out of Oklahoma basically after we got raided, right? Yeah. So, but it was just an issue of knowing where to look. So I just didn't want to tell them where to look while I built this runway, right? I knew I needed to pheno hunt, give myself as much runway as possible, knowing how long everything takes to do, basically.
To do right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so...
so how did they cut them go from like Toad Venom? Toad Venom first, right?
Yeah.
Toad Venom?
Because basically...
How did it go up to cut? I believe Kraft said that he got it from Cut Right.
So basically what happens is... They go back a couple of times, try to get stuff. It's a failure, right?
From you guys?
From Oklahoma.
Oh, Cut Right.
Yeah. Well, West Coast Alchemy is connected to Cut Right.
Okay.
They go back to Oklahoma a couple times trying to get stuff, get slipped the fakes. Eventually, basically, I mean, this is all the internet woo-woo that happens, and Pure Melt's in the crowd tonight, so he could actually attest to this day very personally.
So he's involved too.
Well, he was my accomplice, right, if we want to call it that.
By the way, we just did a pheno hunt at the facility from Pure Melt. Bunch of neon mangoes.
Awesome stuff.
Fire.
So
Lemon's coming back, baby.
I basically knew the only strategy we had was to stay hidden. That's why for a long time you never heard us say anything about it. If you see my references in magazines, I intentionally just never reference who pheno hunted it until we did the interview in Barcelona, where I was like, Derek, you need your flowers for this. This is going so crazy. Like, I have to give you credit. I think the High Times article is where the first time we credit Derek for it.
Did you know that?
And
No, but this is what's so crazy about this is like, I understand the previous relationship.
yeah,
But like our move was always that like we brought every pheno back, right? So never was anything ran that would ever, I don't care how hayed out it was,
Yeah.
every single one came to my office, okay? And immediately, like meaning that they didn't even trim it in Cathedral City. They trimmed
Never was trimmed in
so
Cathedral
so like we basically at that time would get it immediately and would start all of us, like all of the guys that like Joe, who had worked there for like 12 years before, that Derek was like co-managing all the facilities with. Everybody, me, Manny, like, I mean, dude, even the guy that like does our metric.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we're all, like, not that, I won't say like everybody's all choosing it, but there's a consensus. You know how this shit is. Like, when you choose things, there's usually...
There is consensus within ranks.
Like, I will, and I told you this last time, Derek felt really strongly about this, and I'll never take that away, but I posted a chat back that we had, or like a text message, because I wanted people to see that, like, we're talking about a whole different pheno hunt. We're talking about a Gary Payton's pie.
Okay.
And we did the Payton's pie, and right in between that, I'm like, hey, and that animal face times Sinmint is gas as fuck. It does not check the boxes on structure, on any of the things that we check a box on, but it's gas.
Right.
And so and all we were showing is that like our situation never changed the way we select things.
Yeah.
And we had an extra person in there doing it. So then like when people were like, hey, this person selected it, I got the dude like that runs the grow for real.
Yeah.
That shows up all the week, and he's like, what? Like, if this dude came 3 days a week, is it fair to take the credit? So I go out 2 days a week, but I wouldn't take the credit for doing it, because I know that it just takes, like you said with your partner,
it's a total team effort, right? And so like the marketing of Toad Venom, like we have 4 logos on the jar because Hash Tribe and Kush Clinic were such massive parts of the whole infrastructure that built this thing, right? It's not one individual person. There's a Big Smoke. There's a dozen guys who need shout outs for Toad Venom racking the way it was, right? When we go with this other supplier, when we come back to California, they go get Toad Venom, Frog Poison, Toad Venom. So it's just a flip off of, how these things go. Whatever, it's Purple Punch this, and then it becomes Mango Punch, or it becomes Jungle Punch, or whatever it is. It becomes your in-house situation, right? So, like, that's all Frog Poison was, which was why... I didn't say anything for the longest time. When I spoke up, it was the first time on the Craft Farmer post, because that was like, that's the shit that really hurt me for farmers, right? Is I know, like, the way I look at cuts, especially cuts that are out there, are a lot like code. These are it's genetic code that anyone is out there. It's open proprietary information that anyone can use for anything. And as long as that's conveyed accurately, that's what I care about, right?
That's kind of what you said too. You wanted to get credit because it was hunted at the Green Dragon. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just to say that that's what we do. It's like not the only thing we found before or after.
Z-Pie 14, another thing they found. Peyton's Pie 15, another great one.
I mean, dude, like, look, a lot of the cuts that we sell out of there, I can't tell you how many people, whether it was clone only, or that people, like, the Skittles cut, like we talked about that. I was the first person to like blow the Skittles cut for a realistic price too. Like, Jason from Dookie Brothers gave it directly to me.
Right.
I had a deal, and some of the stuff that like even was on the internet now, they were like, hey, you guys might have found it, but Hash Tribe and those guys flossed it.
Right.
Which I'm not going to argue. Right. Like that's a part of the marketing we're talking about with this. It's just that, just like everybody's logo was on it, it would have been dope to be like, hey, me too, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like, and someone brought up the point that like we didn't have Ronin on Becky, right? Like we didn't have Ronin Seeds on Becky, and we left all of the breeding information off all of our cuts for a long time because people would copy it so hard.
Yeah, see,
people would be on our ass. I would pop this and go in a direction and say I want to do skunky stuff, and the next thing you know, this dude's got every GMO seed, kitten, all this other shit, and I'm like, fuck, I want to do Kim, and then we popped a lot of Canorado to try to find Kim stuff.
My impression of why it was named Becky is to make the chase, like you said, the chase of yourselves harder.
Yeah,
right?
We were trying to make it look like everything to throw people off because we just knew that it was coming, and so it's like the same thing I was gonna say with that Skittles cut. It's like Jason from Dookie Brothers, which it's kind of like there's been all types of comedy about that situation, but that dude, he gave us the cut right after he won the Emerald Cup with it.
Right.
And people ever since I had it would tell me I don't have the real Skittle cut. And I'm like, bro, not only do I have the real one, but the guy that propagated the Golden Tarp win and the Emerald Cup win, not Jason and Dookie Brothers, they didn't make the clones, that guy was the clone dude. He gave me the cuts because he was tired of growing that difficult ass clone for these guys,
Right.
and was like, if you can grow it and sell it to them, I'll buy as many as you have. So it's it's one of those things where like provenance means a lot to me too. That's why this conversation came up, because like I don't ever want anybody to sell that clone and not know, hey, it's the real. Like I see people paying a shit ton of money for that clone. I would not pay. If I didn't know the exact way that thing traveled to somebody, I wouldn't pay for it, because cut fishing is the oldest game. This is what you were just talking about.
And that's what why I finally jumped in on the craft farmer one, is I was like, hey, I can't watch a farmer pay $5,000 for a cut that is widely circulated under the impression that you're one of the first 20 to get it. If you really were one of the first 20 people to get this or whatever, that to me would be an acceptable reason. But I can't watch farmers, the people who spend money on us, get burned on basically improper facts, right? Like, if you were getting this and truly, but like, that's why I spoke up, is because I was like, look, this is basically open, I call it open source technology. When cuts are out there and they're open source technology for anyone to
They
grab.
fucking spread like faster than
Well, it's part of the
faster than
marketing.
bad
Like, he
news.
used the marketing, and then you saw. I don't know if you guys saw like and I know Alex is like, dude's a good dude. So
Right.
I don't want to.
Right. Yeah,
I'm
I'm not trying to disparage.
But like I said on there, I buy a shit ton of hydroponic supplies, as you can imagine. My hydroponic supplier, when Underlights came in, I got 2 people. I went to a bunch of people's facilities. They all had Faven. Then my supplier told me, hey, the dude that really kind of put this out there, like heavy, was this crafts farmer guy. If you guys fuck with people that are in the industry, he's a grower, support him. And I was like, man, he's more money than the Favens. He's all this stuff. And I'm like, I did it. And so I didn't know control. I called him on the phone. I talked to him about control cables and all this stuff. So I talked to the guy. And then when he sold the cut, I was upset too, because I was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you're trying, like, who knows you? Like, what is the acceptable version of you having this cut and selling it?
Right.
Like, I didn't understand.
And that to me is what's not fair, is like, don't sell something if you haven't done your homework on it. Because if you, like, that was also what kind of rubbed me the wrong way about that situation in particular. Like, I tell people all the time, go sell a Toad Venom clone. I don't care, right? Like, it's out there. It's, and this, I'll do a self-puff piece for 2 seconds, right? Like, everyone is stuck right now with a female Toad Venom that they're going to be pollinating from either femmes or males. Unless people actually want to go do the work to all this BX and stuff like that, where they're just stuck from the female side, we've already made BX1s and BX2s. So we've already put in all the work to do this with Toad, where hopefully the next wave of crosses are much well controlled. Everyone's going to have the female dilute. I tell people, why are the half GMOs, the half papayas, the half whatever's never as good as the BXs? Because all you actually did was dilute what you loved about the original cut. And you made it half of what you loved. Of course you don't like it. What half GMO is better than GMO? What half papaya is better than papaya?
Interesting.
You don't think some of the burgers are stand up to GMO cut?
No.
Oh yeah, see, I found some stuff in those populations that are different.
But are they BXs?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, but I understand what you're saying. When you're going to go back, isolate something, and go towards the parents, if you have the parents already, you don't have to go isolate things.
Right.
That's the other side.
So I tell people, like, we're going to see Galaxy Toad and Lemon Venom and all of these other things, basically, that we just pulled down basically 400 new Toad Phenos of Toad BXs.
I'm going to go back a little bit and this craft farmer thing. I'm going to stick up for craft because I'm going to say I don't think he knew.
Yeah,
he obviously didn't know where the shit came from you, or that you hunted it. He came, he happened to have a good cut of weed that he believed in.
Yeah.
And he at that time felt like it was somewhat exclusive. He didn't know who had it, where it's been, how long it's been hunted.
Right.
And he's an opportunity to make a couple bucks. I don't see nothing wrong with that. But yes, I understand your point too, that you want to know.
Well,
you want some credit, but he didn't know.
And just hit me up.
But he didn't. He didn't know though.
I get that, but even when I did hit him up, he acted a little weird about it.
He probably thought you were. He thought I know crap. He probably thought you were going to hit him up and say, "Hey, I want some of that money." Whatever. He's like, "Fuck you! I don't know you nothing."
Discounted underlighting or something.
Yeah, that's what he actually wants.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what? Fuck. Like, you made some money. Can a brother get in on a little bit?
Matter of fact, now that if he watches this, you might freaking offer you some lower count,
more discounts on under.
More discount on the canopy.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
That's right. We're going to get you an ICL 300, baby. I got you here now, motherfucker.
But yeah, so like for us and knowing genetics and waves and everything, we've been trying to sit here knowing that toad was well populated out there for a long time and saying, hey, like we want to be able to have the next crosses hunted for, you know, the strategic partnerships and whatever it is, right? Like we've been putting out for the last year basically strategic partnerships around Pai Chu. So we just, again, it's all evolution moving it forward, and I hope that people, you know, see these and get this glance into these things and can kind of start to make more better decisions about the cut and the direction and everything that it's going for themselves, right? If you want to, I tell people, you want to go buy Toad Venom, great, brother. Like it's no skin off my back. Thank you for having the proof of concept for putting this in your garden, frankly. All the other breeders, like I tell people, like I'm flattered. There's a lot of breeders who are older than me who are now
because I'd be fucking static if I bred something, because I just started breeding not long ago.
Bro, all
with
these
Ricky
people
over
I
here.
watch in High Time magazine are now using Toad and everything. I'm like, okay.
Toad
like
and-
it's not a
Toad-
shot at me.
Toad and lemon.
no,
Toad and
that's
lemons. No, that's a compliment in a way.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's a shot.
To
I
me,
think it's a
it's
compliment.
the imitation is the sincerest form of flattery or whatever.
But no, they're just trying, if you can use a nice, cut that's obviously recognized, that's obviously liked.
Yeah.
And you call it hype or whatever or not, and they're trying to, capitalize on that too. I mean, I'm sure fucking, Fletch from Archive is crossing the shit out of it. JB's crossing the shit out of it. And anybody else that gets this crossing the shit out of it is going to be the new wave.
Well, you know what? It's part of that's part of what happens. Like you got to look at it like anything. When okay, this is a good one. Like look at Mimosa, Purple Punch, right?
Yep.
Like but that was a way. But I like Mimosa better than I like Purple Punch.
way better.
So like sometimes I like two things mixed. I didn't really like Tangy. That had low, like didn't smoke great. Didn't like, you know what I mean?
Mimosa was, no, I could not agree more.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So sometimes
could not agree more.
those things that you kind of even like make something greater than, I mean,
You like that orange kush that I showed you at the facility today?
Yeah, I'm actually, we could say this, that I'm one of the last suckers who still likes orange weed.
I like orange. I like citrus.
funny. Yeah.
And like I keep saying, the lemon's coming back. So I think the future's going to be this toad and then lemon thing. I might freaking have to get me. I got
lemon venom already hunted.
Lemon Bennett. Shit, you beat me to it. Lemon Bennett. Venom. That rhymes.
that CSI,
That's a good one.
that CSI lemon party.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I haven't seen the
he's-
most recent CSI stuff.
Yeah,
no.
his lemon party, which is like someone gave him, I guess, as a lemon tree,
Okay.
and it wasn't a lemon tree pheno. It was something way better.
And I tell you, lemon's coming back. I told you that earlier
some shit
before he
out
was
there.
here. Lemon's
Yeah,
fucking
that's-
heavy.
Ours
Heavy
doesn't
lemon.
yield, but
The
it
guy
is.
from SF
Yeah,
Canada.
that's like the best shit. That's always the
Yeah,
best.
the owner of SF Canada, he's been sending me some DMs and then he just sends me these spears, and then he puts the lemon on the
The
side.
lemon tree we hunted was from 707 Seed Bank, so I want to give him credit for that. Like, I'm the person, again, built on backs of giants, the guys like for you who built me's, right? Like, there's all these great cuts out there that, like you guys started with, brought back around, whatever it is, and, 707, we've, selected some males from him. We've selected females. Like, he's got fantastic gear. So definitely want to give all the breeders, the Mike McCoys.
The Kush cleaner. He fucks with a lot of that.
Yeah,
Kush cleaner.
the Mike McCoys, the Derricks. Like, for Toad Venom to reach this point, think about how many people we just named along the way, right? We've got Glenn, myself, Canopy, Derek, Mike McCoy, 805, Hash Tribe, Kush Clinic, Big Smoke. We have this whole list of people who are responsible for this thing making it to it. We didn't even announce the West Coast Alchemy frog poison spinoff of all of this stuff, right? That they deserve credit for making frog poison popular, right?
He's always said that we failed at the marketing. Whoever did the marketing.
We knew how to hide. You know what I mean? That's a fact. I mean, you know what I mean? But I think that, like you said, it's a whole giant team, and then every one of those people has a team that's working behind them in some way, shape, or form, right? And that's where this really comes down to, is how many people it touched for it to get where it's at.
Yeah.
And that, like I told you last time, that the marketing, the push behind it, and it's a different model than a guy like me with 2,000 lights can have.
Yeah.
Because I can't exclusivize something to that level, because I'm going to have 300 pounds of it. You know what I mean? And I'm distributed it throughout the state. So how exclusive can you? You can do a little bit of that, but ultimately the goal for me is to do the Nike thing, right? Is like, they sell $10,000 pair of Jordans. I want to sell the $250 version that's stitched at the same factory but doesn't have the hype behind it. But I know I can't do the other thing as well because ultimately I got to sell a lot of shoes.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my model. That doesn't make it right or not.
Yeah, I'm 1/20th the size of him.
Yeah, but like just like you said, we didn't come up with those seeds. You know what I mean? We just provided a home for them to pop. All these other people that are doing things that the same way. We just want to do. You know what I like is like when I walk Jay Beasy through my spot and he says, "That's the best I've ever seen that one look."
Yeah,
I'm like,
that
dude,
always makes you feel good.
That makes you feel like awesome for a brief. I'm like, you know what it is, and a guy like that's walking through though. That's the 5121. That's the 826.9. That's the 82. Like his knowledge of coded shit, but is ridiculous. And watching him be like appreciative of the growing of it, that's what I want to do. I just want to take things that are I don't care whether we find it, whether it comes in like. Look at Fire Farmer right now, right? Like as far as like a wave right now, dude, $2,000 a cut. You know what I mean? And he's getting it all day long, and that's dope. I think that's awesome. And that dude bought clones off of me. Like most of these guys have stood in line at my place and bought a clone.
You had the baddest fucking nursery in SoCal. Everybody bought clones from you. You had all the real,
lemon
the real cuts.
Dosey we used to buy trays of.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like Lance from First Smoke of the Day bought Skittles from me like so many times. We were like laughing because I just kept giving it, you know. But I just think that's what I feel. I feel like stuff like this happens because, like, we were a clone outlet when that many clones in your spot was federal time. You know what I mean? Nobody. Why do you think nobody sold clones? It wasn't because nobody got the fucking idea.
Right.
It was because you exceeded plant limits and you're going to jail. So we took the chance to be that, and it wasn't like we made a ton of money off of it. We just knew that if we put the right cuts in the population, they would come back to us as a buyer.
Yes.
See, like we like the one thing that we're known for that I see through everything is like there's a cut called No Cross OG. Okay, and No Cross OG, I'll hear people talk about this all the time. Sean Cron on X talks about it all the time, like, oh, that's just the No Cross. And the other day I was like, oh, you know, that came out, that's us. Like it's a regular cut that was circulating for a long time that we had from 2010, 9, and when we would buy people's weed, they would all come in with whack OG crosses, like Marijuana to OG or something that was easier to grow, but that ultimately didn't like sell for us. So we wanted to release the right cuts just so that we got the right weed back.
Right.
Like that, like and then it just came into like, we knew that if we gave people the right cut, it changed their life. If you gave somebody the right cut, that you were talking about that earlier. Do you know how many people I've like, when I broke out, like what was, Purple City started selling PCG cookies, which was what I consider the only real cookie cut that I was ever able to buy. I think it's Forum. Yeah. Like, I think ultimately it's the Forum cut, but I can remember hooking people up with that. When people would come in with things that they would pretend to be cookies, and you're like, that's not cookies. Right. And then you give them that cut, and their life changed. They came back in with a bag that just looked like sparkled out and was hit different and tasted different. And putting growers on that was like, you know, it's like they say, giving is right. Like giving is a little special than receiving, because like when you see somebody actually change, or even like old dudes coming in that are buying, like looking for something to put out in the back of their house, you know, I mean, it's the same wave.
So you've been breeding for a while. You've been pheno hunting for fucking ever. What's your advice like to me? Because I started breeding not too long ago with Ricky, and then I have seeds, and I'm a hoarder. I like to grab strains and from people, and I don't like to give them out. But I have a lot of seeds, and just like you said, you can't fucking pop them all. So do you suggest me giving seeds to people so they can pop it? But it's kind of
It all depends. So like, my goal with Ronin is to keep varietal price high, right? It's such a hard industry. Ronin is not here to sell a bunch of seeds. We're here to try to keep varietal price high. I've got a whole plan on how to roll out pie chew crosses with individual cultivations and I basically have slotted 13 slots for 13 cultivations, and they'll get a slot to do pie chew because we want to keep the price high. But that's my strategy. Isn't selling seeds, right? It's going to the Glens and all of these people of the world and developing that relationship so that it's like, hey, I know it's so hard to sell weed at ticket X. Let's keep your varietal price high. And if the pie chew varietal price remains high across all these crosses, that gives all the cultivators the edge to win. And that's what I'm looking for, because I look at the patterns of the apple industry, the pear industry. Oysters are frankly the same way, except it's a much longer time scale. Look at the Cosmic Crisp. It starts as, if people don't know the story of the Cosmic Crisp, it starts in a compost pile. It's literally the Z of apples. They had 25,000 seeds, and it starts in a compost pile. They clone it out of a compost pile. It becomes the most popular apple variety in the country over the last 10 years. Price has fallen out of the Honeycrisp for the Cosmic Crisp, a breed of the Honeycrisp. As the coffers of the Honeycrisp sit full and the price goes to the bottom, we start on the Cosmic Crisp, and that's what people are buying. So I guess where I'm going with that long term is have a goal, because it takes so long to do everything. Have a goal with your project before you even start it.
Cool. And see, I've been the opposite way of it. Like, so we pheno hunt every once in a while. A room seeds out on us, right? It just happens, okay? And I sell that seeded. One of the funniest things, I have like a comment on one of our Google comments where I sell these seeded half ounces at like $40 or something. Like, we sell it low. I don't want to quote that, but it's like low.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people will come in and be like, I got some bomb ass weed and like 30 seeds. It's fucking awesome. Ooh. So because what they're looking for is a different experience, right? That's not my regular customer. But the point I'm making is that, like, even with cuts, when we have a lot of seed or we do something, a lot of the guys that buy clones from me all the time, I'll give them the beans to pop. Just because, twofold. Like, they want to do the work, and I can do a whole lot more work through fucking 30 or 40 really serious dudes than I can do in all of my facilities. If I turn them tomorrow, every room to a full pheno room, I couldn't hunt like the way I give it out.
The network is your net worth, is that old phrase, right?
That's
like for me, the Mike McCoys, the Derricks, the 805s, like these are the guys who have made this, right? Like they're all the other entities that are always looking through stuff for you. Mm-hmm. It's a team effort, you know. We're hunting. Our pheno hunt rooms are full right now, and I still couldn't touch a fraction of our seed stock.
No, it's a lot of fucking money.
And hold on to it. That's the real game that I would say that I got from all the people that older guys is that when you work lines, hold on to that seed stock, keep it really well, and then you might end up going back, because if you do hit a winner and you want to look for that point that you want to go back to, or you just want to run that back at some point, like. And once again, I think CSI does that on a level that, like, go look on that dude's website and it's like, pick your cross, Kim 91 times, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Open pollinations, and he's got them all. And some of those things have been on the site fucking 5 years, but he's still got them. And that, I think that's like for people like us that want to go back and work a line. It's just important to not, not like. Don't run too many things. Mm-hmm. That would be maybe another thing. Like, I think when you get above like 100 things that you have to taste at a time, if you're the one tasting it or you have a small group of people, it gets carried away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why having good breeders is important, because, dude, you're wasting. I mean, I have wasted a lot. For as many people as I like.
We're old. We can't be wasting lung power anymore on shitty phenos.
I agree with that. It's overwhelming. I was just telling you today, like, we first did the 1,000 mango hay seeds, top tier, second tier, and it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. You start.
People used to crack off. There was these two guys in the desert. They're two brothers. I can never remember their name. They would just put in like 700 seed pheno hunt after 700 seed pheno hunt, and you'd just be like, well, more power to you, brother.
And people said that to me, and then I didn't. I don't understand it. But
you're gonna miss something. Sure.
You definitely miss stuff. I mean, like, I'm the person. I'll give everyone an insight into like kind of our pheno hunting process. Just generally, is like we start with the things that smell good, right? Like, yes. I tell people all the time, especially when we just pulled down 400 phenos. I'm not smoking every pheno fresh. I'm coming into the dry room day one with I've got these things predestined to smoke first, and if they don't work out for whatever reason, we're moving on to the next stuff. But yeah, like I always have told people, like, if it don't smell good, it's not all of a sudden going to smoke good. That's the tip.
Hey, look at that. We were talking about this the other day, but down south was Symbiotic. They put out this cherry punch, right? Cherry AK-47, the purple punch. Okay, yeah. That flower, you could harvest it, put it in a bag, walk away for 9 months, come back and open that shit up, and it smelled the day of. Like, it was a trapper's pack. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to say it was the best smoking weed in the world.
Right, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you that, like I don't know how they would figure that out. I mean, I've looked at things over time, and I do try to keep, like, when we're working phenos, we try to look at how long that nose is going to actually stay relevant, because a lot of Kim stuff falls off fast. Like, super fast. Like, OG, man, a week or two after, it's a different flower.
Grandpa,
I agree with that. It doesn't seem like old school weed used to be like that, but it seems like the newer weed, it happens. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the nutrients nowadays or what it is. It seems like
Look, OG, man, I was in the center of that tobacco, and let me tell you something. I don't care how good you cure it, how good you do anything. The first 9 days after it's trimmed, after that, it's just like this.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have a cut that it's not OG, but Grandpa's Gun Chest. If you've ever seen that one around, we bought it for 50 grand, but it's got the shortest shelf life of basically any cut we have. It's got this really incredible leather smell. When you get it, you know, in those first 2-3 weeks, like we really are very, very firm about getting it on the shelf then. And very quick, like it gets trimmed before anything else, it gets processed before anything else, because when you get it, it's incredibly special, and the second it's too late, like a lot of these OG cuts, it's run-of-the-mill kind of shit.
It loses its luster.
And look, Fletch just gave me a selection like 6 months ago that is weird as fuck. He told me it's blueberry marsala, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, great, whatever. I grow it while it's growing. It smells okay. When I take it down, I'm thinking like, dude, selection, like, I don't know, because I don't run a lot of people's selections. So I was like, maybe, I don't know how he chose it. I put that son of a bitch in a bag, and about a week and a half later, I opened it up to a bouquet that was like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It blew my mind that it was that much different in a cure, because usually it's bad. Usually it just gets worse one way or another. I
Right,
think like
yes.
3 to 5 days is like your
Yeah.
peak probably,
Yeah.
and after that you're just like. And so I you know, those are the ones that always amaze me, because I'm like, I wouldn't have sat around with that in a bag selecting it that long to let it turn into that.
There's, you know, I have a theory on everything, and basically it's that it's this all-encompassing life cycle, and if you miss a clone or you lose it or whatever it is, it's just kind of that it was meant to be. Like it wasn't.
yes.
I agree.
In, you know, natural selection and evolution, if something got left behind, whether its utility wasn't strong enough, whether it didn't clone right, whatever it was, it just
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
You can't figure lose sleep over it. And I'm sure that happens a lot with a lot of strains.
Oh, so many.
Our
strains.
general manager in Oklahoma, when we left, he was going to pull his air. If we lost another pheno, he was like, Jake, I'm going to go crazy, you know.
Yeah, it happens, man. I mean, losses. There's so many things in my nursery that I wish I had, that like the ones that you really want to keep are hard. That's why, like, it sucks when you see people selling fake seed and fake cut too, because like Purple Kush, like, you know, like we had a little thing in my heart for. I held that thing from the SR71 nursery for like, I don't know, almost 20 years, and then the thing, like, we move and we lose it.
No.
And I'm like, fuck. Like,
You never
I
get
see
that
people
back.
listing like, I got Purple Kush seeds, or I have the cut, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't sell it for that a while, and then
Right.
I never saw it anywhere, so I don't know how some of whether
Right.
these things are real or, you know what I mean?
You just don't know. And I mean, trust me, this is for everyone who's going to DM me this week and say, can I have a cut of Toad Venom, or I can get a cut of Toad Venom. I'm not verifying anything for anyone. Go get it yourself. I just told you on a podcast there's 5 fake ones out there. Go figure it out yourself.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
that's what I tell people. Like I said, same thing. When they hit us, I tell them.
So you heard it here live from the guys themselves, the guys who created it and the guy who pheno hunted it. There's a lot of fake toads out there, so be careful. Spend your money where you trust it. Well, gentlemen, I'd like to thank both of you guys for taking the time. Number one, trusted me to bring you here, and there was no blows thrown.
Can we also, like, hopeful that the whole cannabis community can kind of take a page in an industry, or like that we can have adult conversations. People can agree to disagree about whatever it is. And I mean, trust me, I try to ignore the internet so much because I think so much of it is overblown and out of hand. But, like, ultimately, I hope that we can start to set a precedent for people to have better behavior.
Like I said, I'm ecstatic that I was able to get both of you guys. Which this, like I said, this has been a big debate on Instagram lately, and it was cool. Like I said, we're all grown adults. We can agree to disagree. We can have a discussion, and like I said, at the end, I guarantee we all benefit from this. And then you guys can figure out get hold of each other and maybe do more pheno hunts and stuff like that. This is going to work out great for all brands.
Yeah.
I want to be included in the pheno
Thanks
hunts.
for having us.
Yeah, man, for real, for providing a platform.
Yeah, and shout out Josh for, I don't know who reached out to me first, vice versa, whatever, but yeah, so.
Oh, that's exactly why I was like, let's not even release anything. Like,
Yeah.
let's just hold on, because it's better to figure out. And that's, like I said, I sat over there listening for a while and was like, okay, a lot of these things make sense that I had no idea about. And,
Yep.
and it's like he said, it's the story. So the whole dope thing is knowing the whole story.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Exactly.
I tell people, like, how cool is it that the cut that started almost took down a plane?
Right.
Yeah, 4 grams. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That is pretty funny.
Yeah, I heard the end of that. That's dope.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for watching. And this is episode 17. I'd like to thank the sponsors once again, Trollmaster, best controller in the industry, most well-known controller in the industry.
We love them.
Over 47,000 app subscribers worldwide. And Think LED, it is the light to use. 4-spectrum tunability works seamlessly with Trollmaster because Trollmaster makes the light. Mango juice, if you're not juicing, you're losing. That's all we use at the Mango facility. And once again, Mango Tech Store. Beautiful backdrop. You guys tune in, enjoy it. Let's go.
Sweet.
That was fucking cool, guys.
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, man.
Yeah,
well,
no,
pleasure to
absolutely.
actually
Yeah,
talk
no, yeah.
I mean, I think when we talk about meeting at North Hollywood, literally, it's a hallway about this wide.
Yeah, we were in
you
a dry
standing
room.
in front of a dry room, and
Yeah.
I walked by and just said hi.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the extent of
Yeah,
our.
no, that's
you know.
that's what I would say too.